This year's theme for International Women's Day, DigitALL, Innovation Technology for Gender Equality. Personally for me, it means that we have equal participation of males and females within the innovation and technology space. Currently, we have a minority of women and girls within technology, where we have about less than 30% of them participating. So that means that we have work to do in order to empower women and girls to actively participate within the innovation technology space.
DigitALL, Technology and Innovation for Gender Equality. What does this year's theme mean to me? It means equity, equality. It means inclusion. It means women sitting on tables that make decisions about transformation. Look around us. Digital transformation is taking precedence, and women make up half of the population. Hence, it is crucial that we are part of this conversation, and more so, we are part of the decision making. There is nothing for us without us.
For me as a girl child, when you are inspired to dream bigger, you are destined for greater things. I'm a girl from Mvembili Gahoho, and you will definitely be shocked at how far I've come just to be in the digital space. And I'm loving every moment of it. So if you have a dream as a girl child, do not stop dreaming. Do not stop hoping. You will achieve it. Hold on to your dream every day and enjoy what you do every day.
I'm very much excited about this year's theme for International Women's Day, which is Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. To me, this is actually one of the first steps that I believe are going to lead us into ensuring that in the future, we don't treat this as a special occasion, but definitely it becomes a norm that we've got more women within the technology space. So what I would encourage young ladies out there is that they need to be confident in order to be in the technology space. You just need to raise your hand, raise your voice, and just be confident in your own ability as a woman. You need to ensure that within technology, you enjoy the process. Technology is evolving, technology changes. So basically, you learn new things every day. So you just need to ensure that you fit yourself in and make sure that you become an FIO woman. By an FIO, I mean you just need to figure it out. You may not know how to do it. You may not know who to contact, but just find a way and just get the work done. Thank you.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to this special edition of the Blue Table Talks. We're very excited to have you on this special show this evening commemorating International Women's Day 2023 under the important theme DigitALL, Technology and Innovation for Gender Equality. Standard Bank has partnered with government, the Eswatini Communications Commission and UN Eswatini to partner and shine a spotlight on the women in digital and technology. This partnership has availed a platform for partners to showcase opportunities for young women in technology, showcase the opportunities and the successes and the triumphs of young women in technology in Eswatini. I am your host, Standard Bank Eswatini's Head of Data and Analytics, Linda Zwane, and I am honored to be joined by a beautiful and talented and accomplished panel this evening to undertake this discussion today. I will allow them to introduce themselves, so without further ado, Lindiwe, please tell us about yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Linda, and welcome to our greetings to our viewers at home. My name is Lindiwe Dlamini. I am the Head of Production Services at Standard Bank. My role basically entails leading and working with a team that supports technology infrastructure in the form of hardware, software, as well as networking, and I also look after operations.
Thank you very much, Lindiwe. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from you this evening. Representing Eswatini's Communications Commission, Fisiwe, we're happy that you're able to join us. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Linda. Also, welcome to our viewers at home. My name is Fisiwe Vilane. I work as Manager for Consumer Affairs and Communication at Eswatini Communications Commission, and my role includes creating maximum visibility for the initiatives that the Commission is involved in, including the Girls in ICT Scholarship.
Lots of discussion to be had there as well. I hope we have enough time. And last but certainly not least, representing the UN Eswatini, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Linda, and good evening to all the listeners. I'm Margaret Twala Tembe from the United Nations. I work for UNFPA as the head of office. UNFPA focuses on ensuring that young people, especially girls and women, access sexual and reproductive health services. Also ensures that gender equality and women empowerment is attained, specifically looking at the issue of gender-based violence so that they are free from violence of all types, and also focuses on ensuring that data for development is available because it informs policies and programs. I head the UNFPA office, as I mentioned, but I'm also heading the work of the United Nations system in Eswatini on gender equality and women empowerment. Thank you very much for inviting the UN.
Really a pleasure to have you. So I think we're going to have a really good mix of discussions, all levels of society. And I think maybe let's start from the policy perspective, Margaret, if you don't mind. Would you say that it is true that there's a much bigger space in technology that women need to take up? Are we correct in assessing that that is not just a perception, but it's actually reality? And how would you say that women of their own accord, young women, are taking it upon themselves to close that gap?
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to say yes to the yet to be. Because looking at the policy environment for Eswatini, it is quite fertile and conducive for women and girls to take up their space in the digital platform. But at the moment, there's a gender divide in the sense that even the recent assessment that the Ministry of Education and Training undertook, it discovered that there is a very low enrollment among girls in what they refer to as STEM. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and maths. But the environment is there, and the government has committed itself. If you look at different policies that exist in this country, the same education sector policy does have a pillar dedicated to ICT. And if you look at the gender policy, which has just been recently approved by Cabinet, it's actually a gender policy of 2023. It does also include issues of ensuring that women and girls in particular, we pay attention to ensure that they have access to the digital space. But at the moment, we are not yet there, but there is room for improvement if we focus by ensuring that we invest in this area. So the ground is quite fertile.
Encouraging to hear that the ground is very fertile for any young woman who is listening and is concerned about support, which is something that I think we'll be able to discuss later. Just as you were speaking, I'm reflecting on the necessity for other partners then to come in to really make sure that that fertile ground bears fruit. And one of the things, Fisiwe, is SCCOM's Girls in ICT Scholarship Program that was launched recently. Can you tell us more about that?
The Girls in ICT Scholarship is actually a local initiative. However, it is based on an international initiative that the International Telecommunications Union has. It's a UN organization, so it has linked that initiative to SDG 4, which looks at opportunities for equitable and quality education, as well as SDG 5, which looks at gender equality, especially in terms of empowering young girls and women. So those two are seen to be, a key in terms of the future solving of problems that are in the world right now. Locally, as Eswatini Communications Commission, we have then the local initiative, which is linked to the global Girls in ICT. Now, this day is commemorated every year on the 27th of April, and we do a couple of initiatives in Eswatini to bring young girls together, to expose them to opportunities that are there within STEM, as Mage has said, but also to try and give them motivation in terms of seeing role models, in terms of seeing mentors that are live, that are also from this country, to show them that it's possible. Specifically, coming to the Girls in ICT scholarship, we are now in our second year, so we've already got a beneficiary that is studying BSc in computer science at the University of Pretoria. That was the scholarship that was awarded last year. And this is one of the initiatives that is meant to also bridge that gender gap, to say, you know, enrollment, like Mage has said, is very low in terms of girls with STEM subjects, even though we all have the opportunity. And even though we outperform boys, and this is from data that is there, in the primary years, as you go up into high school, into tertiary, and even graduation, you find that now the numbers are skewed the other way. So there's now male dominance. And that reflects in the job market, because now you have more male engineers, you have more males in the STEM sectors, or even STEM careers. Now, this initiative is meant to, one girl at a time, change that picture, to provide that opportunity for a woman that would not ordinarily be able to fully participate or be able to join that space. But it says now you have an opportunity to actually have an all expenses paid, I would call it, because it covers tuition, it covers any book allowances, your study permits, accommodation. There's also a stipend there for you just to, study comfortably. So all of that is focused on the young girl in Eswatini, and it can be anyone. Obviously, there is focus on girls from rural schools, because, you know, the opportunities are not that much, or even those that are disadvantaged, because you have children that have the potential, however, because of opportunities that are, or circumstances, they are not able to fully access these opportunities. So that is what we are trying to do. And it's it's awarded once a year, and it's targeted at girls that are from 17 years.
That sounds like such a brilliant initiative. You know, I'm hearing from what you shared the very important ways that it plugs important gaps. The program providing visibility to people who've done it, you know, that speaks to how we start to close the gap in terms of what young women are even imagining for their lives. But when it comes to a very practical perspective, it comes down to funding. It comes down to enabling things. So really kudos to ESICOM for that initiative. And if there are young women watching who wanted further information, where would they go? Where would they start?
Entries have closed now for 2023. Already it's now at evaluation stage. So on the 27th of April, we will be hearing in terms of the next beneficiary that is being taken on. And this is not a once-off kind of scholarship, in the sense that it covers you for your whole course. So Unati, for example, who was our 2022 beneficiary, is being paid for the rest of her course until she graduates. And that is meant to make sure that it is sustainable, but also that at the end we get to yield the fruit, if I can call it that. So young girls that are listening, the opportunity is, funds permitting, going to be there again next year, and it's an opportunity for them to put their best foot forward, to raise their hands and say, I would like to take up this opportunity and join the STEM world.
I hope the young ladies have heard loud and clear. Stay close to every way that you can connect to Eswatini Communications Commission. It does sound like we've got a lot to speak about in terms of closing the gap, but maybe let's hear from you, Lindy, where, you know, we are speaking policy, enabling policy, we are speaking, looking from the outside in. We can see, we get a sense the data supports that we do have this limiting factor. Are you seeing that in the day-to-day? You're in tech on the day-to-day. Are you seeing that playing out?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Linda, for that. I fully agree with what they have actually mentioned. I do agree also that there has been a shift in terms of women entering the industry. However, I think based on the stats that have been shared, we are not yet there, but definitely getting there. And I think probably one of the things that we possibly need to focus on also is once we have women and young girls entering the industry, what's the next? We still need to get into a point where we've got more women in leadership within the technology space, which is a gap, and bringing it closer home in the financial industry. If you look at Eswatini, we've got less than 20% women leaders in terms of heading technology departments within the financial sector, and that is inclusive of CBE and SBS. That's 1 in 6. So it is very much still a male-dominated industry. So we do need to have those conversations, you know, just to discuss what the barriers are in terms of making sure that there is that visibility in terms of women leadership and visibility as well as in the women in technology, and not become just a once-off event where we know that there is women that need to be part of technology, but it has to be an ongoing thing. Yeah, so that would be my view there.
Interesting challenges, definitely interesting challenges that we're faced with. I can't help but just think of the importance of representation in the data space. You know, if you are using data, analyzing data, it's always important that your data set is representative of society. And for me, that's really how I tend to approach this question of equality or diversity, especially in technology. So, you know, how is that related to why it's important, you know, to have balance at least, but at least diversity in tech in the financial services sector?
It's very much important. If you look at having women in technology and also just in addressing issues, when you have a balanced, gender, you are destined for success, if I may say so myself. You are destined for success, and you get diverse views, you know. It's not just, you know, stereotyped in a certain way, but you do get different views and approaches into implementing things. And I think one of the things that we probably need to start having conversations on is what are the barriers in ensuring that we have representation across. Is it, individual-based barriers where we are self-limiting the doubts that are in our heads to say what sort of doubts do we create and allow to dominate our thoughts, to a point where we feel that I can't do it. And this is just not only at a lower technical level, but also at a leadership perspective. You know, we tend to doubt ourselves. And also, I think it goes back to what Mage said in terms of what structures, exist in society that support and allow for women, to break through in terms of, entering the space. And, I think for me personally, I'm just passionate about women in leadership within the technology space. So yes, there are programs, putting women in there, but let's be visible. We need to be out there and tell the success stories, because I think once we start telling the success stories, then we'll have more women, saying, we can do it, it's doable. Because I think there is also that perception that when you say technology, it's hard. When you say technology, you're thinking of the worst, and yet it's something that is doable.
Yeah, lots of thinking points, and I couldn't agree more. I read a submission someone made just today about how technology is actually the difference maker, because it actually doesn't require any masculine or feminine features in order to be successful. So we'll definitely come back to this conversation around self-limiting beliefs. But I want to go back maybe to some of the data, Margaret. We've been speaking about where the limitations are. And of course, kudos, there's always massive work behind enabling, the creation of enabling policies, the implementation of enabling policies. What do we know about what barriers we still need to overcome in order to improve this registration, young girls putting their hands up, seeing this as a viable life path, a career path? What other barriers are we aware of?
I think there is still more work that needs to be done, and now you are talking to me as UNFPA, because we call ourselves as a go-to agency in terms of data, but I still feel that there is still, because you cannot plan any program in the absence of data, and it would be the data that will identify what are these issues. Is it fear, the fear of unknown? Or is it because the tools that are required are not there? Or is it because there are contextual differences? Because we are existing in Eswatini, it has four regions, but there are dimensions. Shiselweni, Lubombo, Manzini, there are differences there. But who has gone out there to do an analysis to find out what are the barriers? Because you might find that the barriers of Manzini are not the same as barriers of Shiselweni. So for me, I still feel that there is more work that we need to do, whether it's because of tools or because of smartphones or because of fears. What else is there? And then we can be able to shape up the programs and come up perhaps with literacy or whatever forms of barriers that will, forms of interventions that will make a difference, so that girls are free to take up the space. Because, I mean, the world is like so small now, it's in our hands. This whole country can be in our hands. You can be able to transact while you're seated at home. Why are you afraid of taking up this opportunity where you would not be able to spend even a penny to get to the town, but you can do what you do in town while you are seated in your comfort zone? So there's more that needs to be done to get the data in terms of the barriers, I think.
No, absolutely. And I think what you are alluding to leads to my next question, which is to say, we can't speak about women or young women in technology and digital and innovation without speaking about the social context. So what are your views on, what can the broader society do to also, focus and drive this initiative of this that's captured in the theme for this year, digital?
I think because now we are talking to ourselves, we are seated here in Babane, and those that are able to follow us are those that have the means to get there. But let's go out there and mobilize these people at the different levels where they are, at all levels, from here to the chiefdoms, and find out more, because you might find that they are not even aware of what we are talking about, what it is all about, and what are the benefits. So for me, I feel that we need to go to the roots and make a difference, especially because in Eswatini, most of the population is in the rural areas. So we need to tap into that as a potential ground for promoting the uptake of the digital space by everyone, and it must be context specific so that it is able to meet my needs as Mage Margaret from Shiselweni versus Mage Margaret from Babane. Yes.
No, absolutely. I really like that idea of let us who are able also proactively engage. Lindiwe spoke about being visible. SCCOM's program is really about offering opportunities. So I think that's really important for those who are able. It's not just a societal imperative, it's not just a cultural thing, but let's also make it an imperative upon ourselves as leaders who are visible. So maybe that then comes back, helps us come back to this conversation we're having earlier about encouraging people, and this self-talk that we have, So if we see where this one's coming to you, if let's say we take this advice, right, and we have the data now around what the issues are, and we go out there, how do we encourage really self-belief? And it's not an easy question at all, but how do we encourage self-belief and really start to perpetuate a new stereotype, which is that technology is not gendered? You know, access to these technology tools is not difficult. What are your thoughts?
I think that people relate better to people that are like them. In terms of, you know, the events that we have around girls in ICT, it's around bringing women that studied in rural schools or women that come from, as I said, disadvantaged backgrounds, to talk about how they got to where they are. So people can see you in Babane, yes, but you come from somewhere in Lubombo or Shiselweni, you went to a school that didn't have a computer, but now you are IT manager for a big company. Young girls find that relatable because sitting wherever that she is sitting and looking at someone talk about their journey and how far they've come, then gives them, you know, the drive to say, if she can do it, then I can also do it. They need their positive role models to be there and visible so that they know, and also just for the role models to be authentic as well, to talk about the challenges as well, to talk about what they had to go through and how they overcome some of the stereotypes that are there. Because we cannot run away from the fact that, yes, it's always been thought, you know, as a male dominated field. So we believe that it's the boys that need to, you know, study some of the subjects, or even just in terms of focus, I would say, in families as well. Parents, how do we talk to our children? Do we make them feel that they can also go chase after some of these opportunities, you know, or is our conversation gendered? We need to look at that. And also just in terms of mentoring opportunities as much as possible. You know, sitting there, you have no idea as a young girl in terms of what exactly people do in ICT. I learned more about Lindiwe's job today in terms of what she does. So those are some of the things that these young girls need to be exposed to. You are not necessarily a network administrator. That is the opportunity that is there in IT. There's a whole world, you know, around ICTs, around science, technology, engineering, and maths that you can learn. So they need to also be exposed to what else is out there and where they can plug in to understand where their strengths and their weaknesses are, so that they are appropriately aligned to the opportunities that will make them thrive.
I could not agree with you more about the importance of exposure. It makes me reflect on my undergraduate journey. And for the first year of my undergraduate degree, all my lecturers were male and were white. And it's just, you're there to study, yes, but the environment really matters. It really does make a difference, because you do start to, just by the images you're receiving, start to be othered. And the difference maker really came. There was, I will never forget her, a Zimbabwean lecturer in my female lecturer in the second year. She took us for one of our courses, and just seeing her after a year and a half of other faces that didn't look like my own, just seeing her there, taking up that space, confidently delivering the knowledge I needed to get the degree, changed my trajectory. You know, it gave me the confidence to see through to finish, to what is my life now that I couldn't have imagined. So I cannot agree with you more about the importance of exposure. And I really hope this is a call to women in technology, women in digital, women in data, that your faces, not just your voices, are needed to spread the word. Lindiwe, you are one of them. And you've been passionately speaking about the gap in now leadership. Maybe through your experience, can you tell us what we can do, what your suggestions are around closing now the leadership gap? Once we have the women in, once we have them, overcoming self-doubt, acquiring the qualifications, taking their stab at their first couple of roles in the sector, how do they get to the next level?
Okay. First and foremost, I think as women, we just need to be intentional. You need to be intentional about your journey as a woman. That means even the leadership aspect of it, we need to be intentional to say, I want to get there. Not just because somebody has left or because it's your time and you need to take up that and own up that space. And once you are intentional about it, I think one of the key things that I believe will play a role is us as women, having unshakable optimism and also, be confident in your own ability. I think I'll refer back to my journey as well. I have been, in the tech space and as part of the leadership, oftentimes I have been the only female in that space, and it didn't take away anything from me. You just let your voice be heard, use your voice, raise your hand, and just be confident. I think once we are intentional, confident, and know where we are heading to, trust me, everything will just fall into place. So I think that is what we basically need to do. Again, I would say it doesn't also come just by default. Technology, I think, as we know, it evolves a lot. So with technology, it's not like you're just going to learn one thing and then you're done. It calls for continuous learning, continuous improvement. You need to adapt because it changes. It also calls for continuous collaboration in the sense that once you learn, there's always something new to learn in technology. So that's why I'm saying you need to be intentional and know what is ahead, because it's one thing to enter the space, but what does it mean for you? That means you also need to equip yourself. You need to keep growing. You need to keep learning and studying because it changes. It evolves. So you also need to play the part from your side as well, just to remain relevant in the field, because it's quite easy, not to be relevant whilst you have all your thick books and your certificates here and say, yeah, I nailed it. Yes, you nailed it 5 years ago, but the detail might not be so relevant now, so you need to adapt as well. So yeah, I think that once we grasp that, to say we are intentional, this is where we're heading to, and these are the things that we'll do in order to be there. And I think lastly, it's still leaning towards the being intentional thing is, I think we have now reached a point where we as women, we need to raise our hands, more so because, having a male-dominated space, you find that we tend to then say, maybe they will see one day that, yeah, we can do it. Maybe they will see. And in a typical sense, I've attended many forums where it's usually male-dominated. If there is a person leading the session and say, I need someone to grab that light for me. Trust me, in my head as a woman, I'll debate, should I? What will they say? How come? And you'll find a man has raised his hand. And then you ask, do you know? I said, no, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. So I think as a woman, we just need to get to that level where we say we need to figure it out. And how we figure it out, you may not know, but through what I've mentioned, the continuous learning, the collaboration, the continuous improvement and continuous adaptation, you'll just find a way to get it done. Yeah, so that would be my take.
Really, really insightful. Thank you, Lindy. I'm trying not to take it personally that, you got your papers 5 years ago, but there's blockchain now, Sisi. What can you tell us about blockchain? That's how quickly the world is moving. But really interesting insights, intentionality being key. That's really nice. And I'm going to take away the optimism. Yeah, you're always looking on the bright side. Just in, I think you've spoken to, yes, we're talking about technology, but we are still talking about leadership in general. Fisiwe, what can you add? Just your nuggets based on your journey around, the journey to leadership and what you think it has been for you as a woman relative to maybe someone else.
I would say it's definitely not easy. It does take, learning from other people. It does take opening yourself up and being vulnerable as well. And sometimes things won't go your way, so you need to find a way to pick yourself up. And obviously you will face, I would say the prejudice or even people looking at you in terms of, let's see what she is going to do. So in that sense, the confidence that Lindy was talking about becomes I would say your strength in terms of you being able to apply your expertise, apply your experience as well in terms of what you are doing, rather than making it or taking it personal. So the criticism will come, but as long as you know that you're giving it your best shot and you are applying whatever that you know or that you've learned, things are going to work out eventually. I believe that it's in the pushing, it's in the continuously trying to get better that you get to the epitome.
Thanks, Mr. Margaret. In the spirit of the theme of today, digital, maybe your words around the use of technology to gain these leadership skills. What could you share perhaps from your personal experience?
I think from my personal experience is that yourself, it's doable if other human beings like yourself have it. And where you feel you are running short, ask for help as Lindy. So if you don't reach out, you sit there at the corner and be moaning and crying. Yet the world is good. God has given us the opportunity to try this platform, and it is working. It can make you access anything and everywhere in the world. And just talking about our work with another organization called Junior Achievement, we have a young female who has been able to come up with some digital means of tracking her own curriculum. So she's able to know where her curriculum is or are, just using digital space. So it's doable.
Love it. Lessons from the real world, lessons from real women, and a clarion call for all the women who are watching us live this evening. Now, if you have the technology exposure, that yours is to share as much as you can, be visible, be this bastion of optimism, for younger women. We've had a lot to think about, so let's take a short break and then we'll be back shortly.
This year's theme for International Women's Day, DigitALL, Innovation Technology for Gender Equality. Personally, for me, it means that we have equal participation of males and females within the innovation and technology space. Currently, we have a minority of women and girls within technology, where we have about less than 30% of them participating. So that means that we have work to do in order to empower women and girls to actively participate within the innovation technology space.
DigitALL, technology and innovation for gender equality. What does this year's theme mean to me? It means equity, equality. It means inclusion. It means women sitting on tables that make decisions about transformation. Look around us. Digital transformation is taking precedence, and women make up half of the population. Hence, it is crucial that we are part of this conversation, and more so, we are part of the decision making. There is nothing for us without us.
For me as a girl child, when you are inspired to dream bigger, you are destined for greater things. I'm a girl from Mvembili, and you will definitely be shocked at how far I've come just to be in the digital space. And I'm loving every moment of it. So if you have a dream as a girl child, do not stop dreaming. Do not stop hoping. You will achieve it. Hold on to your dream every day and enjoy what you do every day.
I'm very much excited about this year's theme for International Women's Day, which is Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. To me, this is actually one of the first steps that I believe are going to lead us into ensuring that in the future, we don't treat this as a special occasion, but definitely it becomes a norm that we've got more women within the technology space. So what I would encourage young ladies out there is that they need to be confident in order to be in the technology space. You just need to raise your hand, raise your voice and just be confident in your own ability as a woman. You need to ensure that within technology, you enjoy the process. Technology is evolving, technology changes. So basically you learn new things every day. So you just need to ensure that you fit yourself in and make sure that you become an FIO woman. By an FIO, I mean you just need to figure it out. You may not know how to do it. You may not know who to contact, but just find a way and just get the work done. Thank you.
It is always a good time when women are gathered to speak progression, to speak growth, to speak hope and inspiration and success to young women. And I can't believe we have come this far. We've taken some time exploring a lot of issues. You know, the importance of having a day like this, a theme like this, is really the fact that we are what it takes. All of us are required, all levels of society and all members of society. So I'm confident that we haven't just been joined by women this evening. I know that there are also men joining in to find out what they can do. But we are drawing to a close, or at least we have to draw the conversation to a close. And, you know, I'm looking for your reflections, Mage, to us all. You know, what would your advice be? And to all the ladies on the panel, what would your advice be to the young women looking to pursue careers in technology?
Maybe before I get to you as panelists, for me, I would like to call upon the government and development partners, civil society organizations, and private sector to support the implementation of the policies, because the policies are there as a commitment to ensure that we do something that will promote young girls to take up the space. But if we do not implement the policies, then they're as good as a library that is catching dust somewhere there. So for it to work, we have to commit by ensuring that we support the implementation of the policies. And to you, my esteemed young ladies and my daughters, you have what it takes, and you've been fortunate. Try to handhold those that are out there who do not have the opportunity, so that we do not leave anyone behind, especially the most vulnerable. I'm even touched as we are talking, thinking about persons with disabilities, girls with disabilities. What can we do? I'm sure we can make a difference with your expertise and your experience. You can make it happen for everyone in Eswatini.
We hear you loud and clear, Mage. It takes a village, is what you're saying, and we really need to be hand-holding each other in order for us to all move forward. Civil society as well as individuals in the society. Thank you so much. Fisiwe, your advice to the next generations coming after us.
Technology is taking over. I believe that everything is now moving digital. The world is looking to technology for a solution to problems, or even solutions to everything that is kind of stressing us or even giving us sleepless nights. Therefore, there is an opportunity. It's a growing field. There are lots of opportunities, maybe some of them that we are not even aware of at this point. Like Lindy said, it's a very dynamic field, which means there's something new happening every day. So there are plenty of opportunities there. It's just to encourage that young girl, that young woman that is still thinking about, you know, whether they should go into the space, to say the possibilities are endless. It's just for you to find your niche in there and make it work. So I would encourage them to read more, expose themselves more, and to those that are already in the field as well, just to be more visible, open the door for those that are younger than you, create those opportunities for them to experience what it is like to be in the technology space. I think those would be my advice.
Thanks a lot. I like expose yourself more. read more. So for me, you're saying be proactive as a young woman around upskilling yourself, exposing yourself, taking up every opportunity that you come across that is possible. I would just add to that before we come to you, Lindiwe, you know, don't count yourself out before someone else has counted you out, you know. Always making sure that you just go for it. Let someone else tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. Lindiwe, your words to the young up-and-coming STEM hands.
Yes, what I would say is that technology is not a monster. Technology is interesting. Let us embrace technology. Just to give an example, in terms of the point I'm driving to when I say let's embrace technology, like Fisiwe has said, read out, get yourself exposed. Even from a career perspective, you may find that your first love is journalism. You know, you want to do you want to be a journalist, and if you look at the era that you are in now, it's more towards online publication. So you can still pursue your journalism, you know, career through the use of technology, and then you could, you know, you could flourish within that. So I do believe that not just on the technical aspect of things, but even with the other streams, there is always an element of technology that you know, comes in. So we just need to embrace it. And the fact that there's always something new to learn within technology makes it even more interesting. And I think what I'm taking from here is that we each have a role to play. Whether one is to ensure that we've got more women and girls, you know, joining and coming into the industry with all that, you know, having addressed the barriers that Mage has discussed. And once we are on the inside again, it's not like we just want people to be in, but once you are on the inside, what are we doing about it to ensure that we have more technology leaders in women, and there is then that visibility. I think, yeah, that would be my advice. Let's get into the tech space. Let's occupy those leadership roles as women, and yeah, it's doable. We will do it. Thank you.
It can be. I can't resist. And really, you stand here or you sit here with us today as an example, and we're so appreciative. It has been a very necessary conversation. It has been a very interesting conversation. I think what I am taking away from this evening is that this is a focus for everyone, and we're only going to win if we win together. There is policy work that has been done and needs to be done. There is partnership work that has been done and needs to still be done. And then there's the personal work that we as individuals, especially for today's theme, the young women who are watching, that we also need to do. And yes, we acknowledge that you've done it, but until the stats reflect differently, we're waiting for you all to join us. We are so thankful to our partners. Thank you so much, ladies, representing our partners this evening, for joining us. Thank you for just focusing on such an important demographic, focusing on such an important issue in our society. Again, the importance of representation is really so that as policies continue to be developed, we make sure that women's voices are part of the data that informs those policies. The importance of this conversation is just that everyone gets to see for themselves that unless you are self-motivated, you know, and choose the optimistic side, thank you again, Lindiwe, the optimistic view, you know, you limit yourself outside of that. So this has been an important conversation. I am hopeful that we will get to continue it before the next International Women's Day. But for now, I want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us online. Thank you again to our esteemed partners. Thank you to Standard Bank, and have a good rest of International Women's Day. Thank you and have a good evening.